You don't have to be a genius to see I don't know what I'm doing. But don't just take it from me, 'cause you do a lot of dumb things too. Woo. Where am I?
Hello, friends. I'm Kelly Abraham, and this is I Promise I'm Smart, Guys, I changed it up, and now it's tripping me up. I used to say a postgrad podcast, and now I'm trying to say a podcast with postgrads, and I can't do it. So one more time.
All right.
It's your podcast. You can do it as many times as you want.
No, I never do it twice. Okay. Hello, friends. I'm Kelly Abraham, and this is I Promise I'm Smart, a podcast with postgrads about growing up. Today is special because we are blessed with not one, but two incredible guests. If you happen to listen to the episode with my brother Ross, you might remember a brief mention of his friends Joey and Michael. These accomplished, young, strapping men grew up with Ross, neighbors to brothers, you know. Please welcome the electric, the eccentric, Michael Zervos, and the savvy, sagacious Joseph Engerer.
Wow, what a great adjective to describe us.
Yeah, I want the sagacious one, though. That's more me.
What is sagacious? I don't even know what that means.
You'll have to Google it.
It's a wise person.
Amazing. Well, thank you for having us, Kelly. I actually have been looking forward to this a lot because I have never been on a podcast before, unlike Michael.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Michael, how many have you been on?
Other people's podcasts?
Yes.
I don't know, maybe about a dozen.
Oh.
see,
Yeah.
look at
That's
him. He's a
pretty
celebrity.
Yeah, close to it.
Oh.
I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time, but
Wow, I'm so
Never
glad
been
to
on one.
have you on.
They're a lot
Yeah.
easier than you might think, Joey.
yeah.
We have Michael and George here, and let's talk about why I called you guys accomplished. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm 23 years old, and do I even know what I wish I was doing right now? No, but when Joey was 23, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were in law school at Michigan State, and when Michael was 23, he was the youngest filmmaker in the state of Michigan to direct a tax credit awarded feature film
Where'd you get that from?
written.
Not true.
That's from your IMDb page.
I didn't write that.
So he has an IMDb page. I mean,
Exactly. And he wrote the movie.
yeah.
I really don't know where that came from, but I'm flattered, so thanks.
But that's true, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I even knew what I was going to do though when I was 23. Yeah, I was actually working for my dad. I wasn't even in law school yet.
Oh, really? Did you take like
Yeah.
a year between?
And I still didn't know what I was going to do even after I started going to law school. So
Joey, on a
just
scale
going,
of 1 to 10, how hard was law school?
oh, I don't know. I mean, it was hard, but let's just say it was not as hard as medical school probably is.
All right, so I want to open this up actually because I completely forgot about this until just a moment ago. Joey, remember when I came in and I was like a witness or like a character,
Yes.
like in your court trial?
Yeah. Yes.
What?
And I did like an actual character, and people weren't exactly sure. Like some people thought I was acting, but I think others didn't.
Yeah. I didn't
Wait,
get a good
what?
grade on that.
But you didn't. Was it because of me?
No, it was me. I feel like Kelly needs to start asking some questions first before we get into like our
No, get
own
into
stories.
it. Tell me. So you had a project.
I had a mock trial in law school. Like I think it was my last year,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, and Mike was you had to get friends or somebody to come in as your witnesses to play the role of a witness in a civil lawsuit.
But he wasn't
and
allowed to be acting.
Well, they were all acting to a certain degree, but Mike came in with like a voice, like an accent and stuff.
No.
Was it? I did like a foghorn leghorn thing. Didn't
Yes.
I? I'm like,
Yeah. So it was a wrongful employment lawsuit, and Michael was like the employer.
yeah.
So he was the
Oh.
person who like fired the plaintiff. And when I would call him up to the stand, like we kind of prepared what he was going to say and stuff, but I didn't know he was going to do an accent or a character.
I got up
So-
and I'm like,
Funny.
well, I have to admit that the man in question is certainly not the most important or best employee that I've ever had, but certainly goes to say that I fired him so quickly after it broke his leg.
Yeah.
It brought me so much pleasure.
Oh.
I did like an accent. And
the teacher, the professor was like, had this. She had this look on her face through the whole proceeding where it was like, should I laugh or is this guy's real voice?
Right. But the thing is, no one speaks like that anymore. It's like Southern aristocracy. Like,
yeah,
it's like
no, it was
House
funny.
of
I was actually like dying the whole time, but I knew it looked so unprofessional. Like these other students, you have no idea. These other students you could tell like a legit amount of time that a real attorney would put into this case. And I just threw everything together in the last like couple days. Like I was telling Mike what to say that day when he showed up like an hour before the trial.
Are you a procrastinator?
Oh yeah. And I definitely was back then. I mean, to be fair to myself, I was married at the time and was commuting to law school like 45 minutes. Not that that's an excuse, but I tended to consolidate all my work into just a couple of days. Yeah. And then I was like working and doing other stuff part-time. So I didn't devote the energies that I probably should have to it. And also just didn't really have time. So
well, that's good though, because if you had been really, really prepared and then that completely threw you off, you probably wouldn't have been.
Maybe. That's true. It could have ruined everything, but I ended up with like a B or something in the class.
Oh,
that's not bad.
That's awesome.
I'm glad that I didn't screw things up. I would have felt bad, but I did have a lot of fun, and I did after the fact because no one laughed at it. I just figured that people kind of like were on the fence about it and erred on the side of believing that this ridiculous voice was my voice. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know if you remember, but I was partnered with this guy who decided he was also going to play a character, and it was like not as like much of a caricature as yours, but he was like a super aggressive guy and would just object to every single thing the other side said, like nonstop. Do you remember that?
Yes,
I remember thinking like, this is going to fail.
Well.
Yeah. So anyhow, that was embarrassing. So that's an embarrassing story, but it wasn't because of you. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't sure if I embarrassed you or not, but I was going to do it.
No, I embarrassed myself.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of comes full circle because wasn't Joey in some of your stuff, Michael?
I was in an outtake on one of his movies.
Wasn't there like a game show?
Yes.
Is that the outtake?
Oh, yes. That's right.
Indemnity.
Yes. It was. What was that for, though? It was a game show. It
was a game show that was supposed to be on the TV, I think, in the background of a scene, right?
Right. So in movies, you have to, unless you're going to actually license footage of existing game shows, you have to shoot footage that is a fake game show. You actually have to shoot that and then place it within the TV if it's relevant to the story. Mm-hmm. So we shot several different sequences in a studio. I mean, there were ads that we shot. We shot this indemnity show and a couple of other things. You need to do that in order to basically comp the image onto a television screen for this scene to actually work. Because they were playing like a game called Jeopardy. It was like Jeopardy, but I couldn't use Jeopardy. So Joey was one of the contestants in that show. I forgot about that part.
I remember I showed up. I said, "What should we wear?" And Mike said, "Just wear anything you want." So I showed up with like a green polo, and he's like, "Oh, you can't wear green because we have a green screen behind you." And of course, I didn't really know that. So like me and Ross, because Ross was with me, we went to Kohl's and just like bought new clothes to wear, like right before they shot.
I'm like, there's no way that he's gonna. There's no way he's going to wear green. It
wasn't lime green. It was like turquoise, but he didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, right.
That's fair. But yeah, so you guys have helped each other out in projects. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
We have, yeah.
And of course, we collaborated on the masterpiece that you guys discussed last time.
You guys, Randy Dome and the other side of the fence is the most iconic character. That alone should have gotten Joey on a podcast.
I know. What the hell?
I don't know how that hasn't blown up yet. It's not released anywhere.
I know why that hasn't blown up. There's actually multiple reasons why that hasn't blown up.
Not the least of which is that I've been trying to, like George Lucas with the Star Wars Holiday Special, hunt down every copy I can find and destroy it.
That's right.
Why did the Christmas holiday special happen in Star Wars?
No one's going to know the answer to that question ever.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those things. Let's capitalize on a franchise while we can. And
so it was like a cash grab, but then he didn't even get any cash from it.
Well, no, it aired on TV.
Oh, okay.
It aired on TV. It just didn't. I mean, it was just summarily disappeared afterwards because it is. There's some really shameful parts. I mean, there's a lot of tacky parts and funny parts, and mostly just stuff in bad taste. If you can find it, your brother has a copy of it.
Well, you can find it on
Sure.
YouTube easily now.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube now.
I think I couldn't get past like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I just was
Like-
bored.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I wonder if it did make any money at the time. I mean, like
Well,
you say, it aired on TV. But
it would be ad space. I mean, it would be commercial.
Yeah, but it was probably panned pretty badly by critics, right?
Well, maybe, but I mean, they didn't sell it on VHS or anything afterwards. So what the money they would have made would be from the commercial airtime that they sold the slots. So
Yeah.
that's usually how a special would sell anyhow.
Hmm.
I mean, unless you sell it afterwards on VHS, but I mean, who knows? I don't actually know the history of it all that much.
Before we continue,
Yeah.
I do have a pop quiz that I do in every episode. So here it comes.
Joey first.
Okay, Joey, can you please describe yourself in high school in 2 words or phrases, and then describe Michael in high school in 2 words or phrases? Your perception of Michael in high school.
Oh boy.
And then Michael, you'll have to obviously do the same.
Yeah. I'm glad I had him do it first.
Yeah.
You guys can take a minute.
I should have seen this one coming because you asked Ross the same question, or maybe it was about you.
That was rather dull of you.
Darn. 2 words or phrases. So I can think of at least one for myself. I was kind of self-conscious, I would say, overall in high school.
Yeah.
You know, like I was very self-aware, or thought I was, like tended to be quieter, which I found out after the fact was mistaken for like arrogance by some people. They thought I was
Really?
stuck up or something. Yeah, I think your brother
Oh.
told me that. And obviously I never intended that.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of people that I heard after the fact that there's some people you would be surprised to know thought you were arrogant.
Yeah.
I haven't told you about some of them.
Which is ironic because like in my mind, it was the opposite of like being stuck up. It was fear of other people's opinions of me that made me quiet. So
Did you a little bit have RBF? Like, because you were quiet and you just looked like
I might have had the male version of RBF. Yeah.
You absolutely have. Oh,
Oh, I never would have thought that though.
No, he does. You do. I think
Really?
that contributes to part of it. As soon as you smile, it completely
look at that.
dissipates. But
You look so nice.
because he has such a lovely smile, such a broad, wide,
Yes.
toothy smile.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's how I would describe him, by the way. Toothy, broad, toothy smile in high school.
Toothy broad boy.
So I don't have to do that part of it.
I didn't
Oh.
smile very often, I guess. So I had.
You
I had
did
the
with
RBF.
us. You just weren't. You just maybe when you were walking the halls, you looked predatorial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So self-conscious would be the first, and then I don't know. I mean, obviously, I was goofy and funny with you guys, and I do think Mike's going to think this is silly for me to say, but I do think that I was more creative. That has tended to be who I am on the inside that maybe other people can't see.
Why do you think that? I find that silly.
Well, just because you're in a creative field, so you might think no one else is creative. But
What kind of arrogance is arrogance the word you're going to use to describe me? Like
No.
an arrogant prick?
so I
Are those
actually have to
words?
think about Mike's for a while. So could you
Okay.
just like go to him and then come back to me?
Okay,
Because
yeah.
I
I'd
gave
have
you
to
the
give this
words
some
to
serious
describe
thought.
me because clearly, Joey, I creative is a good way to describe you because
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent way. Although you may not have been expressive in your creativity to a large group of people or stood out on a stage or
Right.
improv or stuff like that. I think your mind is rather creative. I don't think it's silly at all.
Even for people in law school, a lot of them come from like English majors and
Right.
and you
Yeah, that's why I went to law school, was to be able to, write and argue or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely more of a right-brained person, I would say. So anyhow, Mike, I'd like you to describe yourself and then I'll describe you after you give me some ideas.
Yeah.
just be like ditto.
No, I think that I was a bit more of a nonconformist. I didn't, and I did so consciously. Like I was, how would you use the word, contrarian?
Rebel.
No, I'm not going to use rebel because a rebel may have a purpose that goes against a grain, but that purpose may be the same from one era to the next, one decade to the next, one day to the next. Your rebellion might be consistent in its ideology.
Oh, you
I would
just
say
wanted to. Yeah.
I am a contrarian in the sense that I like to say the opposite just to play devil's advocate because I enjoy it. And I also learn from it. But that's how I was even when I was younger. I liked to stir shit up.
Yeah.
And it got me into a lot of trouble, like exceedingly ridiculous amounts of trouble in short periods of time for being, for being somebody who I guess followed the rules occasionally. I mean, I followed the rules more than not, but then suddenly I would be a contrarian. I would get into loads of trouble that I'd have to backpedal from.
Gotcha.
But I like that. I like the pressure. So that's one thing, contrarian.
Okay.
The other thing would be it's a one word thing, right?
Or a phrase.
Yeah.
You can say what you're thinking.
I guess I was pretty idealistic or lofty. That was the other word I might describe myself. I didn't have my feet weren't always touching the ground on a lot of the things that I wanted to do and try and such. And I had, I don't know about an unrealistic expectation of things that this, that, and the other thing, but they were always, they were things that were not easily achievable, and would cause me a lot of consternation to try to make the rubber meet the road.
So you were kind of a dreamer.
That's your word.
I'm sorry.
That's the word.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say. He just wanted you to say it.
So what do you say, Joey? Arrogant prick, also conceited, also like puppet master. What would you? How are you describing me? Because you're really, really digging it in right now.
So you were definitely a comedian. That's pretty much why we're friends, I think.
Was he like a class clown?
No, not like that. It was like
that's the reason why we're friends.
It's pretty much the foundation of our friendship.
Did he pull you out of your shell?
No.
Okay, I'll stop adding things.
I specifically have this memory of us walking in downtown Northville. It was 9th grade, so it was just the beginning of high school. And you were doing some impression of somebody, and I was dying. Like I was literally like hunched over for blocks as we're walking through downtown Northville, laughing my ass off. Honestly, and I'm not just saying this for this podcast. Like the person who has made me laugh the hardest in life is definitely Michael. And I think that's when I first realized it. Like, obviously we were friends in middle school too, and I knew you, but I don't think I realized like how hilarious you were until high school.
It all went downhill from there. I mean, I've gotten less
that
funny
was
I know I peaked in high school, Kelly. It really is a
Didn't we all?
Well, hey, we don't know about you yet.
I think we do. It's still downhill, but that's okay. You guys, so you met.
You have
in
a podcast.
School.
That's right.
Yeah. How many listeners do I have? One.
Now you're deprecating. Now it goes into.
I don't have a podcast. I have 0 listeners.
If you made one, I think it would be really great.
Thank you. So the other word, since I only did one word, I feel like Michael in high school was very stoic. It was very hard sometimes to tell what he was thinking or feeling. He was very like,
Right.
I wouldn't say he had the same level of RBF as I did. It was just blank affect.
I can totally see that, except it's so interesting that you would say comedian and stoic for the same.
I know, because that's
but
the
that's
thing.
true.
Yeah, when we would hang out, it was the comedian. We were at school. Sometimes I'm like,
Right.
is he pissed at me, or is he just like having a bad day, or is that just his demeanor today?
Had a bad day.
The friend group of you and Ross, the 3 of you, probably people from a distance, from what it sounds like, thought you guys all were like stuck up then.
Could be, yeah.
Not me. I never got that feedback. Did you hear that
Or
about?
hard. Okay, maybe just the 3 of you were like hard to read.
They're like, that Michael, he's just bland.
I'm sure there were people who thought you were stuck up. I could almost guarantee that.
Oh, you can
It's one of
guarantee
them.
that, huh?
I could almost guarantee that.
We
Yeah.
gotta do. All right.
So you guys met in middle school. Do you remember the moment you met?
I do.
Were there sparks?
Wait, you remember? Tell me.
Yeah, actually, it was at your house, Kelly.
Aw.
So I met Ross at the Northville Swim Club, and it was not summer of 1999.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
So
You guys are so young.
I remember coming over to your house. We were in the basement, and Mike, we were just like hanging out. I think we were playing Nintendo or something. And then Mike and Eris came over, and I just remember thinking, like, what in the world is going on? Like, you guys ran down the stairs. We're just like running around like crazy people. I'm like, who the hell are these people? Mike had camo on. Mike had a camo t-shirt on and like cargo pants. And same with Eris. They were like running around like militant people. And I'm like, this kid's name is Eris. Like, that's a weird name. Who are these people?
Oh my God.
No, I just remember thinking, like, who are these people? Why is Ross friends with them? They have weird names. They're crazy. They were running around the basement, jumping on things. And I had just met them. And I was like, want nothing to do with them. I need to go home. And obviously.
I don't remember this. You left?
No, I didn't leave. I think I stayed.
He just wanted to call mom.
Yeah, I didn't want to be there anymore.
Because of our camo and our ethnic names?
No, you freaked me out. I don't know what it was. Yeah, he weirded me out for some reason. And then, of course, we started hanging out more, and obviously we became friends through just exposure to each other. But I remember thinking, like, why, like, this kid is the total opposite of Ross. Ross is a little more reserved. Mike is literally jumping on the couch with his brother who looks kind of just like him. And
hyper.
That was the first moment that we met.
Honestly, I think back then I was just like not filtering myself at all. And I'm still weirding people out now, but I've learned to kind of tone that back after numerous ex-girlfriends and failed friendships. That weirded me out. I've heard that many, many times.
However, I've embraced the weirdness, and we would hang out at school and stuff. And I realized, like, this kid is not only like really funny, but very smart. And like, I enjoyed being around him. Did Kelly just leave?
She did. Yeah.
What? You can't hear me?
No, I thought you left the call.
Because of the door slamming?
Yeah, I thought it was like AIM. She doesn't even know what that is.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the 9.
No, I do. But there was a door slam right before you asked that, so I thought that's
you disappeared and the audio went dead.
Oh, sad. Our Wi-Fi.
So that was the first time I met Mike. I don't remember. What was your first memory of me, Mike?
It was definitely at Ross's, but I don't remember weirding you out. But
you wouldn't have known because I didn't tell you.
It was playing video games downstairs at Ross's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was my memory.
We've spent hours doing that.
Well, what was your impression of Joey, though?
Joey was a lot more quiet back then. I mean, that is something I get time and time again when like people haven't known Joey in his adult life. they only knew him when he was younger. Quiet is a word that comes up frequently. My parents have said that about
Definitely, yeah.
before they got to know you more. Even still, they probably would call you a little bit more reserved. And that isn't the case when you're around people you know and know well. But and I think as you've gotten older, you've gotten more outspoken or more confident about your communication or whatever your opinion is, more steadfast in that. But early on, yes, you were a lot more quiet, and I recall that being the case. You didn't say many words, but obviously you warmed up after a while.
Yeah.
There's so many of these memories that blur together with childhood friends. Like they
do.
They pop up, like that memory that he was describing to me. I mean, I must have had camo at some point in my life.
Oh, you had camo. I guarantee it.
Oh, you know that I had camo.
I guarantee it. Yeah. You had multiple camo articles.
What?
You had multiple articles of clothing that were camoed
Pull up
in
a
your
picture.
childhood.
Why was that?
Dozens, probably.
Do you guys care if I end it and then we join back in?
Sure.
You can do it, yeah.
Oh, grazie.
Oh, Italian.
Thank you.
Wow.
Joey's ears perked up. He's like, I like those Italians. Tell me more.
Oh.
Let's do some more Italian. Madonna.
Tell me more of these Italian.
If the quality's not terrible, can I join with my computer, please?
For those listening, our Zoom meeting timed out here, and for those watching, my room was like 85 degrees with no air circulation, and that's why I look like a sweaty pink piggy. Thank you very much.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Oh.
Why do you have that giant thing of water? That looks so ridiculous.
What does it say? Distilled joy? What does it say?
Why are you drinking out of that? Get a glass.
It's just a gallon of water.
It's a gallon.
What does it say on the side?
This is great. It's
I despise people
bottled
who
joy.
carry around giant things of water all day. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
That's
Okay.
why I said he's not going to get kidney stones.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
you won't get
My
kidney
doctor
stones.
said that I was dehydrated.
You're in your
You?
home. Just get a glass of water and drink it, and then fill it up again. And
I
drink
gotta
it
walk
again.
downstairs to get it. I just want it all in one thing, so I can walk around with the gallon of
You
water.
don't have access to water on this floor?
No, I'm in a third world apartment.
How many times a day do you pee?
7,
Oh my goodness.
12, maybe 15. I don't know. I mean, it's a large.
Yeah.
Look, look. It's important to be hydrated. How important? I don't know. I just listen to the doctors. Whatever the doctors tell me,
right.
I do this.
Yeah.
They say jump, I jump. They say drink this, I drink this. They say stick this in your face. Stick this in my face.
All right.
It's the cure to everything. Whenever you're sick, they just say, do you want some water? It's just the cure for everything.
Watching you drink that, watching you just take sips from that giant canteen, that huge gallon thing, is driving me insane.
Well, I'm going to keep on doing it now because it's bothering you. So
Oh, he's leaving.
yeah, he's leaving. He's like, this is the last straw.
Yeah.
Mike could be wearing camo, running around with his weird brother, but when he drinks out of his canteen, that's it. Hell or high water, I'm out.
Yeah. The canteen is slightly ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Joey,
Only slightly, though.
If you got one,
I have kidney problems and I don't drink that much water. I mean,
maybe you should. Maybe
You have kidney
I'm willing to
problems?
deal with the kidney issues.
Well, I'm not.
Just mild kidney problems.
You
Actually,
both have great skin.
Yeah, Ross used to tell me every day when we were in middle school and high school how great my skin was. He would tell me that literally multiple times a day. He would tell other people about my skin. So I'm not self-conscious about my
That
skin.
is a remarkable thing for a heterosexual.
No, I think he might have had, like most teenagers, he had like acne and stuff. And he was like, how come you don't have this problem?
I was just going to say that when you guys are talking about being, neighborhood kids and you met in middle school-ish, each other at least. You probably met Ross earlier.
I met Ross, right before middle school.
And that's such a that's what you think of a movie of like suburbs with kids hanging out in the neighborhood. They go to each other's basements. They play.
It
with
was very
the-
stereotypical, yes.
Yeah, and then the fact that you guys grew up, went to high school together, and what's most magical is that you guys got to room together in college for a little bit. I feel like I was really jealous of that growing up because I didn't really even hang out with neighborhood kids there was a couple girls that I did hang out with when I was younger, but I didn't like stay in touch with them really. And so the fact that you guys stayed friends and like grew up together is so cool to me. So do you guys want to talk at all about how when you roomed together, what was that experience like? Because people say you're not supposed to room with your best friends. You're not supposed to room with 3 people. So
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Is there another one, or is there just 2? And you
just
did
2, and I counted with my pinky first.
Yeah.
I had not heard the thing about not rooming with two other people. Why is that?
Maybe that's just something my mom told me that it's like harder.
I haven't heard that one either. I mean, I guess if there's more people in there, more personalities. So I guess.
Well, I think
could go wrong.
with
Maybe because
3,
you have two end up signing up against 1, maybe.
yeah, when it's 3, you feel like you have to all hang out all the time, or some, you feel like you can't just hang out with one person at a time.
To be honest, there were times where I felt like it was Mike and Ross against me when we were living together.
Really? What in what way?
I can't pinpoint like a specific instance of it, but I do remember thinking that at least once. It's not like it was all the time, but yeah, but obviously you guys have like your own dynamic as well, so maybe that was part of it. Yeah, I would say being roommates with Mike and Ross was great. Obviously, whenever you room with a friend, you do run the risk that you're going to damage the friendship. So it's definitely something you shouldn't just automatically do. However, clearly our friendship survived it. We had a couple of issues that we ran into, different complaints about who's doing the most cleaning or whatever, who's spending more money on groceries. Ross was notoriously like frugal. He would eat like rice and beans, and like me and Mike are buying all these expensive things, especially Mike. And Ross is like, I'm not paying for this stuff. I'm not going to pay for your lunch. Ross is like a monk. Like he didn't eat any like even slightly indulgent things. It was all like the very basic utilitarian minimum that you could eat. Am I right?
It's the diet of like philosophers and Quakers and maybe pilgrims. Like it's hardtack and gruel.
Yeah, like if Ross could have just boiled everything into like a pill and just eaten the pill every day, he definitely would have done that. Seriously? And Mike was buying veal, I remember. So there was a different level of expectation.
I prefer a little bit more sophistication.
He was more sophisticated, but we would split the bill like evenly. So Ross ends up like subsidizing Mike's veal, and he's eating like, chicken breast and crab.
Yeah, why were you guys not separating your food?
It was one of the things.
I cooked this food for people.
Oh.
If I bought veal, I would cook it for people.
But
if
did anyone
bought
ask
crab
for it?
or shrimp, I would cook it for people. I'm not sitting there and like.
I know, but Ross, I specifically remember Ross saying like, I don't want this food. Eventually we ended up buying our own groceries.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael, if you're making dinners for everybody and they want it, that's one thing. But if they didn't ask for it and you were like, I made an expensive dinner for you guys, that's another.
We did eat well in college. We ate better than most guys.
Yeah, and it's not like my veal allowance was every single week. I mean, we had a Costco membership. I don't know that they really sell a whole lot of veal at Costco.
That was just one example. But yeah, like we would have like girls over to our apartment that would be impressed. They'd be like, wow, you guys eat really well. And like most
and Michael's cooking it. Yeah.
Yeah. And most guys are eating like filth, like cereal every day, all day.
Ramen.
Yeah, like rats and
rats, like
grass and
like
dirt paste. Yeah.
Baked chicken with no seasoning on it.
Boiled chicken.
Boiled goose. Yeah. Their goldfish from their bowls.
We had a very, very good dynamic. In my opinion, Ross, me, and Joey were together for 2 years, and then Joey and I and 2 other people were there for an additional year, and then Joey graduated. I stayed on for an additional 2 years where they weren't there. But those 2 years that Joey Ross and I were roommates was very good. I have pretty much nothing but positive experiences overall. I mean, obviously there were some ups and downs there, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Our dynamic is was malleable, flexible, and adaptable. None of us are like terribly persnickety about and fastidious about things. There were a couple things, like your brother had this horrible meat nest of a thing that he would do in his couch, like bundle his flesh up in a pile of blankets on the couch.
Yeah.
Oh, so Ross would sit in the living room, surround like in a pile of blankets, shirtless,
Yes.
pantsless, and just
Yeah.
watch like Scrubs on his laptop. And we called it his meat nest because
Ew.
what else would we call it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to come up with the most foul thing that I could think of,
Good.
Yeah.
because I wanted to break that habit.
It didn't
wasn't-
work though. It
No.
almost reinforced it.
Right, it did, but and it was only it got to a point where like he would put stuff like in the corner where I'm like, that's
Yeah,
unacceptable.
it was like the standby meat nest.
Right.
It was ready to go at any time.
Yeah.
My image of him growing up is shirtless, but wrapped in the golden blanket in the corner on his computer, cracking his toes with socks on. That is my image of him growing up.
Yeah.
So the
Bill-
fact that he carried that through college makes
So
me
how
think
old
that,
was he when you saw that happen?
yeah, like 13. I don't know. I know he had to have been older than that, but teenager.
Before college.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
So you say none of you were really stuck in your ways, but he sounds like he's pretty much the same kid.
No. I'm just saying there were a couple
Yeah.
of habits each of us had that probably irked each other, but
Yeah, I know for a fact, because I still sometimes do this and it irritates Amy to no end. I will sometimes like get stuff out of the fridge and just leave it on the counter and forget to
Oh.
put it back. And I used to do that to you guys, I'm sure, all the time. And Ross
Yeah.
would be like, why are you leaving like the peanut butter out? Why do you have the mayonnaise out? Why do you have the eggs out? Just leave them and go away.
But yeah, you guys still probably felt comfortable to be like, why did you do that? Instead of,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like if they came over and I was having sexual intercourse with 4 or 5 women in the middle of the family room, they'd be
Right.
like, "What are you doing? This isn't the way to do this."
Right.
And then I would
Luckily,
go up.
we never had to tell Mike to do, anything with regards to sexual intercourse.
yeah, he kept it in his room. And you all had separate rooms, right?
That's
We
right.
did. So me and Mike's room was on the 3rd floor, and then the 2nd floor was just the common area, kitchen, living room, and then Ross was in the basement.
Yeah, that is not every college kid's experience. The fact that you guys had your own rooms.
We had some
and-
privacy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We had our
So-
own bathrooms too.
Oh
That
my
was-
gosh.
That was a luxury that I think like a lot of post grads don't. I mean,
Right.
to have that, I went from the best apartment that you could live in on that campus to some of the worst places.
No.
Like my fraternity home, there was black mold seeping through the
Oh.
walls, and I developed a whooping cough that I
Yeah.
had for months afterwards.
I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. That's disgusting. And
It-
Ross when he lived in Kalamazoo, like there were people giving birth. His roommates were like having babies.
Yeah, they were
in
doing like the water birth. Like
Like-
sometimes they were just
Are you
dropping
serious?
it in the toilet, and then it's just like, a preemie 7 months old into the toilet. They're like, oh, and then Ross is like, well, we got to get this baby to the hospital.
No, that did not happen.
What are you
right?
talking about, Kelly? The preemie, Kelly.
No, someone literally gave birth like in a room next to him in his apartment. Like
Are
he was
you
like sharing.
serious?
Yeah, like he said he went to bed, woke up like heard
I
a
have
baby
never
crying.
heard this. Have
And
you?
there were people that were just like always cooking something that smelled horrendous, and he had, I don't know.
Yeah, there was that. I remember that. There were other things too, but the constant smell of certain spices that smelled terrible to him.
Yes.
Yeah, that was something that he
And he can't even smell very well either. So the fact
right,
that
yes.
they were that
that
strong.
knows, which is why I think he doesn't enjoy food all that much.
Oh, I agree.
So do I get to tell like terrible stories about Joey?
Please. Also, can I say real quick that sorry, that I might be really gullible or something, but Michael, for weeks, has been saying we were going to call Joey George. And so I was going to collectively call you guys George Michael. And I called Joey George once. There was zero reaction. And then we just acted like that was fine.
It sounded like you just made a mistake and didn't know my name.
Yes.
You know, I do that often with Joey. Sometimes like I'll slip in a George or Jessica or Jeff or something like that. And Joey will nod. And I think he thinks that I'm going down a long path towards Alzheimer's, but he's patiently waiting my arrival. So
yes,
he's just like, okay, well.
No, I figured Mike would do it, but he hasn't. So
wow,
that's okay with me if he wants to call me by my given name.
I feel set up.
I didn't set you up.
I'm out of whiskey, so I'm just going to run upstairs real quick and get some, and I'll be right back.
You guys have been drinking the whole time? Oh, what am I missing?
I'm just
You
kidding.
have been too, Michael.
Yeah, that is not water.
Your choice.
Especially when I saw how big it was.
This? What do you think? What is
That's
this?
obviously either gin or vodka.
Pure?
Yes. Well, I don't know.
What do you think I am?
You diluted it. So go ahead and tell me what kind of embarrassing stories you have about me.
We need you to leave first, and then we'll tell them. So go get your drink.
You can't do it. You can't do it with me here.
Oh, he doesn't want to go anymore.
No, I'll go if you need me to. If you're incapable of telling the story without.
Oh, you're trying to goad me. Is this some type of thing you learned in law school, Joey? Goading people, goading the witness into speaking some. Yeah, I see. One of the embarrassing stories, and I love, this is just, it's great because it was wholesome, but also it's still great. It's still like the fact that they were embarrassed by it was funny. So Joey's married to somebody right now. Back then they were just girlfriend, boyfriend. And
I know what this is.
And I lived upstairs and they were in the family room on the couch. I didn't know that. I was walking down to procure some type of beverage or food from the refrigerator. And I walked down the stairs, and the stairs kind of wrap around the back of the room, and I noticed that two bodies are laid prone on the couch like sticks, like almost consciously not touching one another, like in a way that would be unnatural and almost like out of some type of video game trying to simulate somebody having kissing each other or having some type of intercourse or whatever, like two prone bodies laying on a couch. It looked like
it was not intercourse.
It wasn't intercourse, but I didn't know what it was. It was just two people facing each other. Yeah. Their backs were turned to me. And it was like Joey was trying to protect Amy's dignity and also like stopping the making out that was going on. So I walked down. It's completely silent. Two stick figures laying on the couch facing away from me. And I figure something is happening. I don't know, they're probably kissing, but the fact that they stopped and they just laid there and they didn't even acknowledge that I was there just was hysterical to me. I walked through silently, didn't say anything, went and grabbed something from the fridge and walked back, not acknowledging them, I guess to protect their own dignity. Later on, they acknowledge it, and Amy laughs about that sort of thing.
It was really perfect. It was like a TV show. Like, yes, we were on the couch making out. Mike came down. Like, I hear Mike coming down the stairs, and I'm like, I remember telling Amy, don't move. like he's not going to see us. and Mike,
I won't see you guys laying awkwardly like sticks on a couch.
And Mike's walking down the stairs, and I hear, like that involuntary noise you make when something goes wrong, and then he just keeps walking down the stairs. And Mike goes to the kitchen, opens the fridge. Any normal person would have turned around and gone back up the stairs, but Mike, no deterring him. He went down, got his orange juice, went back upstairs and shut the door, and didn't say, and he would have never mentioned it again if me or Amy had not brought it up.
Do you remember me making a noise of
acknowledgement? Yes, 100%. Yeah. Like, I'm not supposed to see that. Oh well, I'm gonna keep going anyways. And I'm just like waiting. waiting silently, and then
Well,
he
that
goes,
goes back to the theme of this whole thing. It's important to stay hydrated.
Also, didn't you
True.
have your own room?
he had his own bathroom with a faucet and a sink and everything.
But
else.
yeah, but my faucet doesn't pour orange juice like Olympus.
No, Mike, you didn't have orange juice up there, but you had water. You could have survived at least another night until we were done. And then
Wait, Joey, but didn't you have your own room?
yeah, we did.
So that's your shared space?
It was the shared space. It was the living room. We thought it would be, better not to be in my room.
Right. No, that's fair.
Turns out it would have been better.
No, it's fair. Like, yeah, but I don't think that it was that weird that he continued to get his orange juice.
I probably wouldn't have, but yeah, I mean, he had the right to do it.
Of course, I had the right to do it. It was my damn house.
Yeah.
Also, it's different if that was like the case every night you're there with her and like feel like if he feels like you can't use that room or something. But if it was like
No, that was not the case.
yeah, it was like a one-time thing, I see why you'd be like, well, why are you still
Every single
here?
night I'm going down there and there's two prone stick figures on the couch.
Yeah, I like how you keep calling it a stick figure.
Well, it's because you
It's a
guys
better
are
image.
like rigid, like mannequins on the couch.
I love that you told her don't move. That's so scary.
It's scary. Why is it scary?
Because she obeyed. It was just like, okay, like what's he gonna do if we move? Like, yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
right. Like I just like freak out.
She knew Mike. She knew Mike at the time. It's not like she
Joey
didn't-
moves and I just go batshit insane. What are you guys doing? What are you making out of the couch for? That's not for the family room. This is a wholesome place. That's where the meat nest goes. That's not where the pizza goes. That's not where the makeout goes. You go to your room.
But wait, was that your embarrassing story for Joey?
Well, that was, like I said, Joey actually is pretty buttoned up. So that wasn't, I knew it was embarrassing at the time. It's probably not embarrassing anymore. It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's a little embarrassing. It was definitely more embarrassing at the time.
Right, yeah.
Aw, that's not even that embarrassing at all.
I mean, I was getting some action. It was
Yeah. And you guys got married, so it ended well.
Yeah.
And you're
all-
still
all
friends
that
with
ends
Mike. So
well. All's well that ends well. It's like,
all's well. And all's fair in love and orange juice.
Yes.
and
So I have one about
Distilled
Mike. I don't know if he's
joy.
comfortable with me sharing it, and we can edit it out.
Share it.
go ahead.
So this was also in college. So Mike was out one night. Me and Ross stayed in, and
I think I know what you're good.
and around 2-3 o'clock in the morning, we hear from the basement door, which is where the back door was to get into the apartment near Ross's,
Yeah.
like a loud knocking sound.
Do you remember what time it was ish?
Like 2 or 3 a.m. It was in the middle of the night.
Okay.
So, and some of this is secondhand. I'm just repeating what Ross told me because I didn't watch every part of this. But Ross opens the door, and Mike is standing there with one of his fraternity brothers standing behind him, and he has vomit like down the front of his shirt.
Aww.
And Mike, when Ross opens the door, Mike says to his buddy next to him, "Don't tell Ross." Like that, standing there.
Aww.
So Mike comes in, goes upstairs, and I'm in my room, and I hear Mike like spitting into the toilet. Spit, like
Yeah.
flush, and then spitting again for 5 minutes, flush, and then banging like he's mad. Spits again, flushes the toilet. Then I hear the bathtub come on for like 30 seconds, turn off, swearing, bathtub come back on. I'm thinking to myself, what is happening? Turns out Mike threw up on himself because he was having some kind of reaction, but it was like the second time it had happened. So I think that's why he didn't want Ross to find out. No shame in it. It's happened to me. But I just remember being totally flabbergasted by why is he so angry and why is just
Yeah.
like get it all out, then flush the toilet. But he flushed the toilet like 100 times.
No.
So listen, I had the reason why I was so self-conscious is because Ross had to clean up after myself at a notorious party. It was an NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys sweater party for the holidays, and I was in the middle of a story after consuming about, I don't know, maybe a fifth of a bottle of grain alcohol. This is like 190 proof, like 80% alcohol. I consumed a significant portion straight. And then I proceeded to tell a very lively story in a crowded room with a bunch of high school friends who are going to college with me. Ross was there too, at our friend Elena's house. And I was in the middle of this thing.
This is the first time you're talking about.
Yes, I was in the middle of this conversation, this story, and it hits me like a truck. And I just explode like a volcano. And my friend Andrew took a picture upon first explosion where it's all over my shirt, and I'm just like this. I'm just like, it's a freeze frame of me just being like, all this vomit all over.
And Mike, we can edit all this out if you don't want it out.
No. It's cool. And I ended up actually being escorted into the bathroom, and I vomited for maybe an hour. Like I ate 3 or 4 cartons of Chinese food like before that.
Oh my gosh. So it's not just the liquid.
I created like a veritable sauna, like a jacuzzi of vomit in that bathtub, in the bathroom. I mean, we were swimming in it, and Ross is just like moving from corner to corner.
Ross from the story, I know Ross tends to like maybe sometimes exaggerate a little bit. Ross, you do that sometimes, but like the way he tells it, he was like the best friend you could ever want, because he was like in there. He didn't do anything wrong, but he's like sweeping it up with like paper towel, throwing the friend that you would definitely want with you in a circumstance like that. I was not there. I like to think I would have done as good a job for you, but it sounds like Ross really took care of you. And yeah, so that makes sense that if it happened again, he would be kind of embarrassed about it. And
right.
But I just the best thing ever is that he opened the door, and as Ross is standing in the doorway, Mike is like, "Don't tell Ross."
Right, that's hilarious. But I'm glad that it wasn't because you thought Ross would judge you or something, because that was my first thought when you said that. No. Ross is gonna judge me. So I'm glad that you were just like, oh, I can't let this happen again.
Right, that was exactly what it was. It was just like I wanted to be self-sufficient in my vomit fury of vomit, the vomit explosion of flavor. It's like I took that room to Flavor Town. You know what that means?
No.
It doesn't mean anything good. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, I do feel a certain privilege of witnessing one of Mike's undoubtedly lowest moments, even though I was in the next room over.
We've all been there.
Undoubtedly lowest moment is, yeah.
Maybe you had lower ones, but I'm not aware of them. If you
do. The college was... there's definitely a fair amount of binge drinking that got to a dangerous level, but it wasn't like over and over and over again. It was just I went to a party and I'm just like I knew I could take a lot, but then somebody would give me like that 1 or 2 shots over, and then I'd be like, oh
yeah.
It's always everybody's experienced that.
No, yeah, it's always like the last shot where you're like, shoot, that one was a mistake. That one's gonna do me.
Yeah, and you kind of
right away. Right. I also have another vomit story about you, Kelly.
I was gonna bring that up too.
Great, because you do it.
Well, no, you bring it up. Was it about when I threw up in a car?
No. I mean, it was on a road trip, but it wasn't in the car.
I would love for you to tell the story and remind me how old I was.
So I don't remember how old you are, but I'm pretty sure it was 2002. Okay, summer, July. I went with you guys to the cottage for a week. It was like a long trip. It was like a week. But we were coming home. I entertained you on that trip. I don't think you probably remember this, but pretty much the whole time. Like I have always... Go ahead.
I probably subconsciously remember it, and I have like affection for you for it.
From it, yeah. Because I've always liked little kids and like been pretty good with kids until I had my own, and now I don't like them anymore.
Right,
you hate them. At the time, of course, I didn't. I was only 14 years old. So, I felt like it was enjoyable entertaining you and stuff, and I did that for the week. But then, so on the way home, we're driving home after a long week. I'm ready to go home at that point and see my family. I like Ross, I like you guys, but it was a week.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So we're driving home, and we stop at Frankenmuth on the way, and you just vomit all over the place. Frankenmuth.
Before we ate anything?
Bring the chicken dinner. And I remember your dad and mom were just like laughing because at that point it was like,
She does that
we've
all
been
the
in the
time.
car all day. Yeah. And they're just like, of course you threw up here. Like,
Oh.
eating our chicken dinner. And that's like the one most potent memory from that trip was coming home.
That's disgusting. I'm so sorry.
I also got horribly sunburned, me and Ross both.
Right.
But it was terrible. I don't think I've ever been burned that badly.
Oh.
It was a great trip though. And I remember the floor, I think it was Bavarian Inn, so they had like a very ridiculously colorful floral pattern on the floor. So it almost like masked your throw up.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Your parents were just like, to the wait staff, sorry.
And
We're
left.
at the end of our trip. We don't care. You guys can clean it up.
Literally, they just left?
No. We stayed and everything, but they like didn't care. They weren't like upset. Like I would be, if my kid threw up at a restaurant, I'd be like really like
yes.
trying to clean it up and stuff, but they were just like resigned at that point.
Oh my gosh. I know. I think they, when they have heard that story, they're like, oh yeah, because you threw up all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we didn't
What's
realize that I like had issues. And I was like, I throw up so easily that, yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
But I apologize that is a memory that sticks with you.
No, it's fine. You didn't ruin any of my food or throw up on me or anything.
You kept eating with the stench of my vomit.
Yeah, I had the endless chicken dinner. I was going to get my money's worth.
Yeah.
Parents. But I remember hanging out a lot, playing with you on that trip, entertaining you, being like your babysitter.
Oh, was I cute back then?
Yes.
I remember
I had
being
no time for non-cute kids at that.
Oh yeah.
And I can verify that because I saw Joey deal with some non-cute kids, and one of them was left in a gutter somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
They weren't worth it.
They went missing, actually.
No. I didn't throw up on you, and you didn't throw up on me, but maybe you kind of got me back when we were old. I don't remember how old we were, but I know I've told this so many times, but just how you would chew on our indoor plants and start spitting them at me, the tree juice. And I was genuinely disgusted, but like let it happen, I guess.
It is a weird thing. I mean, it's like,
I didn't do it. You said I used to do it like it was something that happened more than once. It only happened one time.
It happened
are you
once
sure?
on
It's like it's a herbivore behavior, though.
It is. I was trying to make her and Jenna like laugh. I was entertaining them, so I started eating this plant and like spitting it out on myself, like letting it drip down my face, and they liked it. They were laughing. So I kept doing it.
I don't
Drip
know
down
who
your
wouldn't
face.
laugh.
Drip down your beautiful,
Chiseled jawline.
And then it was a step too far when it was on me, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna leave now.
Sorry.
No,
It was not my intention to get it on anyone else.
I feel like it was on purpose though.
Maybe, I can't remember.
Well, I appreciated it because I feel like my siblings didn't like beat me up enough, and I feel like I needed people to like
spit juices on
you
spit
needed
on
more
me.
corporal punishment. So instead, you had Joey chew leaves and spit it up like a baby on himself.
I needed to be toughened up because I was a baby and my siblings were too nice to me.
I don't think Ross was too nice to you. I can
Really?
pretty confidently. Yes.
Well, he was my favorite when I was young, so he must have been pretty nice. Well, I guess, wait, what do you mean? Because he would like throw me on the couch or whatever?
I don't know. He always seemed really mean to you guys, in my opinion, but I didn't have sisters. So I didn't know what that was like. I mean, I was mean to my brothers, but we're all boys, you know.
Ooh, that's funny. Food for thought.
Yeah, think about it.
But I think, so are you, all three of you, Ross, the three of you, are the oldest siblings of pretty big families, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's super interesting because I am friends with a lot of people who are the youngest in somewhat big families. And normally it's not like that because you record.
I got some pizza rolls here.
I'm jealous.
I'm fostering a cat right now, and the cat has a neurological disorder. Its hind
Why are you
leg.
fostering a cat?
Well, I want to foster some animals. So,
Aww.
I wanted to do it for a while. I've wanted to have a pet for a while. I just don't have the time to commit all the time. But I have this pet, and his name is King Louie, and he has neurological disorder, and his hind legs trail behind his body, kind of like with gimpy legs. Anyways, he's hiding underneath that couch, and he won't come out. So what other points of conversation do you want us to rattle off, Kelly?
Well, my thought was basically about how you guys are the oldest sibling, and it's interesting that that makes me kind of think of the 3 oldest men in the family are going to be kind of alpha males, but all 3 of you get along really well. And I just think that's kind of interesting. I don't know how much birth order actually affects people's relationships, but it obviously affects your personalities.
Yeah, I think birth order behavior has been largely debunked, but it's interesting to think about. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with personality, but the rigid birth order of the eldest being the leader and kind of being independent and responsible, and the second one being the rule follower, and the last one being the wild child. I think there's maybe some aspects of it that work, but when they do these large cohort studies, they don't really find much similarities between groups of birth order.
Yeah, there are things that
confound it. Yeah.
I do think there are some some personality traits that do correlate to birth order. I certainly see it when I compare my family to others. I'm very conscientious about certain things, and being organized, for example, and wanting everything to be done a certain way. And I see that in Amy's family. Her oldest sibling is exactly like that. And Amy has a lot of characteristics about being the free spirit that my youngest brother has. It's not perfect, but yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I was wondering if you guys feel like your youngest siblings are similar to me at all, or if, because I don't feel like the youngest sibling's always the wild child that has to be really loud to be heard, because I think a lot of times the youngest child is also just happy to observe their older siblings because there's so much going on. I guess in bigger families, it depends size.
Amy is somebody who I feel is louder in order to be heard. I think that is the dynamic she had in her family.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I definitely was louder with my friend groups outside of my family, because even Peggy's husband, my sister's husband, has said when we dropped you off with your friends one time, you were like, "What's going on, guys?" I was a way different person than he sees me at home, because I feel I'm not very loud and outgoing at home.
Everybody has, their group dynamics are really complicated, and what you have in one place isn't going to be the same as the other. You kind of learn in social circles, I'm the boss in this one, I'm not the boss in the other one. This is the role that I have to play here. This is the role I play. People kind of play roles, and they're not always in various circumstances. I have groups of friends that are different. I might be a little bit more quiet than others because there's somebody more loud or boisterous, or
sure.
It happens, and I don't think you're necessarily being disingenuous to yourself. It's
so the question that you have to ask next is pretty obvious, Kelly.
Which one's the correct Kelly?
No, which that's a good question too. Go ahead.
Oh no, wait, what were you gonna ask?
Joey's taking the reins of this podcast. Well, the question that you really need to be asking from my lawyerly perspective is
you can ask whatever you want, but I think that would be very interesting for me. Michael, I can't speak for you.
Yes, okay.
Wait, what was the question you were thinking, Joey?
Who's the real version of you?
The real Slim Shady? I love my family, obviously, but I do feel like I can be more myself with my friends. And I think that might just be because my family kind of has high expectations for we're obviously a Christian, we have a lot of expectations. What were you going to say, Michael?
I was just going to say, you're try to describe your family further, and you're well,
I was like, probably shouldn't. We're waspish. And I feel like, I mean, nobody's gonna talk the same with their parents that they are with their friends. So I don't know if that even makes sense. But
No,
I
it does.
think I feel more like myself when I'm being like loud.
Yeah.
Basically, I like being in the spotlight, and in my family, I'm not always in the spotlight, you know?
So that fits in perfectly with the youngest child wanting to be heard.
Yeah, I think it might have some correlation. I'm just not sure if it has causation.
Oh,
I think I'm incredibly outdated in everything I think.
yes.
I'm kidding.
Oh, nice.
Well, I had one last question.
Okay, there we are.
And it is for each. Oh, wait. I have two last questions.
All right. Well,
I'm so sorry. We'll be real quick, though. It'll be
All right.
real quick. Rapid fire. Okay. First one is you guys. The origins of figuring out what you wanted to do when you grew up, because this is a podcast about growing up. So if you didn't do what you do for a living, what else do you think you would be doing?
I don't know what I would be doing for a living if I wasn't doing this, and I often think about that frequently.
Okay.
So,
Selling
I-
insurance.
yes, my family does have insurance agencies, but I don't know. I don't know that I'd be doing that. I mean, that's a logical choice, but I don't know if I'd be able to do that. Probably something in entrepreneurship, but how I knew. I mean, I always loved movies. I just didn't know whether I could make a career out of them, and I decided to make a go out of it after I realized I didn't want to do insurance like my family or be in the dental practice like my father. And 11 years later, after getting a second degree in film, I've been doing an okay job. I'm not Martin Scorsese, but I'm making money doing it, which I guess is something.
That's awesome.
But we all have aspirations for ourselves and want to do better and kind of like have, especially in a field like this, you want to make something you're proud of. So I'm working towards that. Many of my peers are very frequently. But that's that's a very, very short version of that. That probably sidesteps a lot of deeper analysis on me and my history.
Thank you. George?
So I definitely never wanted to do what I'm doing in terms of being a lawyer. In fact, like there were careers that I knew for a fact I did not want to do, and this was definitely one of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then when I decided to go to law school, I was like, all right, I'll go to law school, get the law degree, but I don't want to practice. And then when I started practicing, I'm like, all right, fine, but I definitely don't want to be like a personal injury lawyer for sure. And then when I did, it's like, okay, well, here I am doing literally what I did not want to do. And what I wanted to do when I was young, and what I probably would do, I guess, if I hadn't gone this route, would be, and I think Ross knows this too, I wanted to be an architect and like build homes.
Oh,
Yeah. I always loved the idea of doing that.
that's awesome.
And I was a little bit more like my strengths, my natural abilities are in visual arts. Like I'm a pretty good artist. And I thought that would be a way to combine that with a practical skill that you could use to, theoretically make money. So I had always wanted to do that. And for whatever reason, I ended up going to law school.
Oh.
And now it sues the pants off of poor, pathetic business owners.
Every once in a while, I'm like, man, I really screwed up when I'm having a bad day. But no, it was definitely the right choice. And I'm very happy where I am right now.
You can always quit.
I could
take a shortcut.
No, I love my job. I love working with your dad. And
I hate to say that.
Yeah.
He loves working with you. I'm sure you have to hear plenty of his jokes.
I love his jokes.
Oh.
But yeah, no, everything worked out. You could certainly see, God's hand in it. It's been good.
Oh,
yeah.
That's lovely. Okay, final question on a lighter note. Celebrity crushes. So growing up, I'm sure you guys had some celeb crushes. My two biggest ones, I don't know when they became my two biggest ones, but they have been it for me for a few years now. It's Donald Glover and Conan O'Brien. Your turn.
Interesting.
I know.
Donald Glover's like the guy from Lethal Weapon, right?
That's Danny Glover. That's
I was like, Community.
that's like a generation and a half older.
And they're not related.
But both of them are Donald Glover, Danny Glover are not related, but Danny Glover and Conan O'Brien are within like the more senior level of,
Right, I can see.
zaddy sort of appeal for you, Kelly. So it would make sense if you were kind of in the market for an older gentleman.
Right.
That you would go for Mr. Glover, Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien with his pompadour hair and funny personality.
You guys got to check out his podcast. He's so smart. All right, now your celeb crushes, por favor.
This is from growing up.
Yeah, or now. Because Ross's was probably Natalie Portman, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, yes. I always liked that girl from Harry Potter.
Yeah, Emma Watson?
Yeah. I mean, I think every guy liked her, though.
Did you grow up with Harry Potter? Were you the similar ages of those kids?
I think I was in 5th grade or something when they started showing those, but nice. I mean, she was very young at that time. It wasn't until later that I liked her.
Right.
But yeah, that was one for sure. Of course, Natalie Portman is good looking, and she was in Star Wars. So
right.
Again, if I'm 13, 14 years old, that's who I'm interested in.
So I'll do another Star Wars one, but Carrie Fisher, young, Carrie Fisher from the OT, the original trilogy. That's an earlier one. And then, man, I had a lot of I don't know, little celebrity crushes or actresses that I really liked.
Ingrid Bergman, right?
Ingrid Bergman? No.
No.
The old Hollywood accent didn't get to you.
No.
She's on the screen right behind him.
Right.
Oh.
Right there. No, not her.
Danny Glover.
Yeah, maybe Danny Glover.
You can tell a lot about a person by their celebrity crushes.
Donald Glover, actually, that's a good celebrity crush. I like that.
I know.
Yeah.
I will say I do have a little bit of a man crush on Pierce Brosnan. I've always thought he was the most handsome man in Hollywood.
Interesting.
Actually, I consider him the standard of beauty for men, as far as I'm concerned.
Huh.
That Pierce Brosnan.
He's one of the is he one of the James Bonds?
He was one of the most beautiful Bond.
He was the best Bond, for sure.
You think it was the best Bond?
Yeah, he's gotten more handsome as he's gotten older.
You think so? I think he's aged out.
No.
I think he peaked a couple decades ago.
Have you seen him recently?
Yeah, I did.
Well, you're wrong.
Michael, do you have a man crush celeb besides Donald Glover?
Man crush celeb.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
I'm not sure if I have one that I readily available.
Do you think you could make Pierce Brosnan one of the thumbnails for the podcast? You, Mike, and him instead of me?
I think you're the only one that really is into him, so I don't know if that would represent our group very well.
Wow, that was a really passive aggressive. Well, it wasn't passive.
That doesn't appeal to you.
It was pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it was straight up. I mean, she basically sunk that ship.
Thank you guys so much for doing this. You can say goodbye.
Good night, Michael. Good night, Kelly.
Good night, Joey. Good night, Kelly. Thank you for having us on your podcast. It was a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine.
The dream come true for me to be on a podcast.
Oh my gosh. This is my dream come true. I'm so excited to have you guys.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sleep well.
Bye-bye.
Wowee, I had a lot of fun. Don't you guys just love them? If you want any more insight into my brother's dynamic with them and me, you can feel free to check out my episode with my brother. It's called Brother Abraham, obviously. But like every episode, we have to have a lesson of the day. What did we learn today? Follow your dreams, guys. Drink responsibly. And a lot of the time, people with resting bitch face are really nice. What are some fun facts for kids? Number 1, the biggest pizza ever created was 13,580 square feet, made in Rome, Italy. Number 2, the Statue of Liberty gets struck by lightning up to 600 times a year. And number 3, turtles can breathe through their butts. Big thank you again to Michael Zervos and Joey Engerer. Thank you for listening and have a great day.